Welcome, friends, to another Soul Chat. If you've never seen one of our Soul Chats, it's basically where Zaina and myself will sit down and just discuss something that's been on our mind with you guys. No editing, just completely vulnerable and raw. And I find that they're best for like doing dishes or running, whenever you might listen to a podcast. So with that being said, let's just dive right in. This pod, I almost called it a podcast. This Soul Chat is going to be all about how to divert negative energy. This is something I found really relevant in my life recently, and something that since Zane and I have started a channel on YouTube have found to be way more prevalent in our life, and something we've had to combat more than ever. That would be negative energy, obviously, but also positive energy. We've never received so much positivity from people. We've never been so warmed by what people have said. We've never felt so touched in our lives. I think it always goes back to doing 100 things right and never being recognized for it, and then doing one thing wrong, and that's what sticks with you. You know, like, it takes me back to before I moved to Boulder. I lived in Arlington, Virginia, and I worked at this place called the Liberty Tavern. Fantastic restaurant. The manager there, his name is Sean, and he was the best manager I ever had, honestly. He was fantastic. And the reason he'll always stick in my mind as the best manager was because he recognized the energy of his staff and recognized how that energy translated directly to the guest experience. He would walk through the restaurant and say, "Hey, great, you're doing a great job, you know, Chad, great job," and always put a smile on your face, just, you know, grab your shoulder and be like, "You're killing it," you know, whatever. Just those little things that raise your energy, so that maybe you walked away from a table where people were negative to you, but Sean would come around and make sure that the energy was high so that your next experience would be better. And he knew, because he was a good manager, and because he knew that us staying positive and us looking at every experience with a positive outlook was incredibly important to the guest experience. And I've examined that recently, and that's really what this whole Soul Chat's going to be about. I've examined that and how that directly translates to our lives. This experience, going into my job, I hated life like 2 days ago. Yesterday when I went in, I was so bitter. I mean, Zane and I like got in a little argument about it, and it was just bad. I just didn't want to go to work. I was tired, and I'm hungry, and I didn't have any coffee. All the, you know, the perfect storm of cranky Chad. So I went in and I made some money. It was fine. And while I was in, Zaina realized that I needed an energy pick-me-up. So she crunched some numbers and basically had all this stuff ready to show me when I got back, to say, "Hey, this is how far we've come so far. We've already come really far, and you know, it's not that much further, and here's what we have to look forward to." And it just picked me right back up. It really did. She was kind of my life manager in that moment. And there's times when you can always do that yourself, when you can pick yourself up to give yourself a good guest experience, because that's really all it's about, is giving yourself a good life experience. And then there's times when other people can pick you up. And what I've realized, and I've said this almost in every single Soul Chat I've done, is that to have a really fulfilled, positive life, you need to surround yourself with positive people. If you're surrounding yourself with negative people, if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people, then nothing good's ever going to really come of it. You're probably going to get just sucked into this life that's going to be this perpetual nothing. I mean, it's happened to me a lot. You know, I'll tell you a quick story that gives away a lot about younger Chad. When I was in my adolescent years, and I was brought up in suburban Virginia, so we would bounce between friends' houses, whoever had alcohol or weed, basically. You end up becoming friends with a lot of people. It wasn't until like 2 or 3 years of hanging out with all these different people, knowing them, knowing their names, knowing all of them. It wasn't until later that I realized that I was only hanging out with these people, and these people were only hanging out with me because of the atmosphere and because of the drugs. And when you realize that, it's just kind of like one of those really disturbing, really human, and really disgusting realizations. And you sort of, you know, that's when I started to reassess life, I'll say. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit because there's a guy walking by the bus. So, the whole point I'm trying to make here is before you go into any experience in life, it really helps to manage yourself. That's what I've been trying to do recently. And if you manage yourself and just say, hey, I'm doing a great job. You know, look in the mirror and say, you're awesome, you're killing it, you're doing a great job. Just pick yourself up and put a smile on your face so that when you go tackle that obstacle, you're at least going at it with positive energy. I guarantee you, at least from my experience, if you go at something with negative energy, it's going to come out negative. I promise that experience won't be great. It's funny because when it comes to negativity, there's always an answer. There's always a way to take something negative and flip it. You know, there's no need to stay in a negative mindset. If you're negative because you're hungry, like I was yesterday, or negative because I hadn't had my coffee, then the fix there is obviously just get some food and coffee, and then I was actually in a pretty good mood for the rest of the day. And if I'm negative because I just don't want to go to work, then all I need is a little dose of perspective. And if 9 times out of 10 Zayna gives me that perspective dose, if I can't give it to myself. But lately I've been pretty good at dosing myself with perspective whenever I feel like I just don't want to do this. It's like, well, do it, because there are people in the world who don't even have this opportunity. There are so many people, I'd say the majority, like 90% of this entire planet, that don't have opportunities like I do. And I hate to toss around the word privilege, but that's what comes to mind, to be honest. Is like I am pretty privileged to be able to just go out and get a job with my wife the next day. Like we talked about it, boom, we have a job, making really incredible money, and we live in a bus that we made ourselves. It's just like, when you put it all in perspective, there's nothing to be upset about. And I'm sure that you can put your life into perspective and sort of realize that you're lucky. The time might be tough right now, but the future is bright for everyone who makes their future, you know? I think I might be rambling a little bit right now, so I'm going to start to wind it down here. I hope this was helpful a little bit. I think for me, it's just thinking about that cause and effect. For me, it's thinking about Sean from Liberty Tavern and how he knew that in order for we would make more money, the restaurant would make more money, the guests would be happier if he sent his servers out happy also. And I think there's so much to be said in that, and I think there's a lot that you can take away from that. And I tell myself that in every negative situation that I find myself, as long as you're living a life for yourself, you're doing a great job. I hope you enjoyed this soul chat. It's kind of a quicker one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe being the big one. Check out these videos. This is how we're doing our end screens now. Let us know what you think about it. We thought it was pretty cool, so I think we're going to keep it like this. And we will see you sometime this weekend.